talking. Just keep on going. There we go. That beautiful young lady, that is Leslie J. Sherrod. And it is my pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us today.
I am absolutely excited and delighted to be here with you, Mother Love.
Let's talk about you first. Let's get all up in your beeswax. Where you from? What did you do? Did you ever know that you would be an author? So I give a bunch of questions, then you pick one and answer.
A proud Baltimore girl, born and raised.
Women,
Still in.
say it again. They were moving. Say it again.
I said I'm a proud Baltimore girl, born and raised here.
Ooh, and
Yes,
you stayed.
yes, I did. I am probably 15 minutes away from the house I grew up in, but
How about that? Now, do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one sister. I have one older sister. I'm the
Mhm.
baby. Um,
Oh my goodness! And you were you spoiled?
uh,
Are
you
you
know, I,
spoiled?
I don't
Yeah, you
consider
are. Yeah,
myself
you are. Your voice
spoiled.
done went up too high. You like, you can't call me spoiled. Not little old me. Yes, we can. I can tell you spoiled. You like what you like and you want it right there on the gun. This is
Well,
what you want.
you know,
So now, when were you, when did this writing spirit come to you? Did you always know that this is something you wanted to do?
I have always loved to write. I
Mhm,
tell people second grade, I had an assignment from my teacher, Mrs. Beeman.
mhm,
We had to write a paragraph about a picture of ourselves. And I
mhm.
remember falling in love with the idea of being able to describe my picture. And I always have written, even when I didn't know that it would be something that I would actually, have books published.
Mhm.
Middle school, high school, I was writing the most depressing poetry, but I loved it. College, I would write short stories.
Where'd you
Um,
go to college?
I went to University of Maryland,
Oh, you
College
didn't.
Park.
You just look. You just
I,
took over
I,
the area.
yes, I'm all Maryland here. So, but yeah, I've always loved to write. I realize even though by trade I'm a social worker,
I
I
saw
actually
that.
I have a private practice. But even with that, I find myself coming back to writing all the time. Maybe it's my self-care. I
Mhm.
don't know, but it's so much a part of me that even when I tried to step away from it, it keeps calling me
It,
back. So,
it, it's like the mafia. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. I was working on being retired.
mm, oh,
That's what everybody said. Okay, yeah, let's see how that's gonna work for you, Missy. And when you have a passion for what
mm,
you do, it's never work. It's
yeah,
not work. This is what you do. It's almost like another organ in your body because you have to
mhm,
get it out. And
absolutely,
we're gonna talk about Housebroken. Okay, now I can show the book.
sure.
Now, who does the your book covers?
So my husband actually, we are a team together. He has designed, I would say, all but one of my book covers. Even through I've been with different publishers.
Mhm.
This time around, we actually joined forces together, my husband and I. And this is our own little imprint here. But even through my journey with traditional publishing, he, with the exception of one, did just about all of my covers.
How about that? Now
Yes,
that's and when you work as a team, and people don't really understand that marriage is work.
yes, it
That's
is.
an everyday ongoing position. You could, talk about it, try to sugarcoat it, fluff it up all you want to. When you're in the trenches with another human being that is your life mate, that you know, that you know, that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever said it was gonna be easy. Nobody ever said this was gonna be a breeze, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and everybody cannot write good books. I
Mm-hmm.
found, and I'm like I told you, I am I'm an avid reader, and I
Mhm.
love to showcase authors, and so I looked up. I got two books right over there on my to go, and they probably gonna go right out the door. It is the worst. First of all, they made little tiny print. And
Mm.
see, and that's stuff that you have to think about. Talk about the little things, the nuances that you do and that you already got your husband. That's a big nuance. Um, that goes into writing.
Yes, I think a lot of times when people think about writing, whether you are pursuing writing yourself or just daydreaming about it, you just think about the act of sitting down to write, which in itself is a lot. But when you start trying to put a book out there, there's so many different edits, copy edit, line edits, page proof edits. And you also have to, from day one, start thinking about your audience as well. How are you going to reach your audience if
Mhm,
that's of yours?
mhm,
So many nuances that come with writing a book,
mhm,
that I mean, it is a lot of work. You talk about how when it's your passion, you keep coming back to it. When I finish work for the day, I find myself back into writing and I'm up until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'll look at the clock and I'm like, how is it 3 o'clock? There's so much work to do though.
Mhm.
So,
And then when you get up,
right.
you got and your what drew you to social work?
I think for a lot of reasons, in full disclosure, with my family, there's been a lot of, needs to help. And so as I was growing up, I recognized the role of social work,
Mm,
the role of therapists, the role of knowing what community resources are out there. And so for me, what was personal became professional, if you will, just recognizing how much support is needed for our families, for our communities. And that is just as much a part of me, I would say, as writing.
mhm. Because and that's your community, and I don't understand why a lot more people are not community minded. I
Mhm,
believe when we get out there and we start meeting people, then you see what the need is. And
mhm,
oftentimes people say, "This is just way too big for me." Okay,
mhm,
when they say that crazy to me, I'm like, okay, I know they ain't got God in their life because there's nothing too big for God.
mhm,
And and that's another thing that I appreciate about your writing because you write faith-based books.
mhm.
I mean, you could have wrote anything. What I mean, besides God calling you and your connection with God, because this isn't just for faith-based people, though. Anybody could read and enjoy this book. And let me tell y'all, when you get the book, just read the book because you're gonna be like me. I'm like, oh no, she didn't. Oh yes, I was talking to the book. My husband came and said, who are you talking to? I'm like, this book.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
I love reading and I love to hear other stories. And and oftentimes we realize they're no different than you and I are.
Mhm.
So let's talk when you get there, how do you decide what this topic is gonna be?
The characters have to introduce themselves to me, and I hope that doesn't sound just weird to say,
No,
but
that makes a lot of sense because those are the people that live in your
mhm,
head, and you gotta get them
yes.
out your head space.
A lot of times with many of my stories, it starts with a scene just comes to mind.
Mhm,
There will just be a character in a place, and I don't even know what part of the story it is. Sometimes it's been the beginning of the story, sometimes it's been the middle or the end. I
mhm,
will just see this scene and it will just catch my interest, and then I start fleshing it out.
mhm,
So, it is very interesting to have new characters show up. I've had chapters where I think I want a character to do one thing, but then realize that that is not who they are, and I've had to delete the whole chapter. So yeah, the characters are the ones who introduce themselves and
mhm.
just start writing their story.
And a good story it is. So
Okay.
when you see that and you get these people in your head, do you write for them individually? Do you write with them for them collectively? Because looking at Evan and his fiance and Nika, I mean, you got some characters up in there. Now, do you focus on one character so that you can start getting the meat on the bones? Because, like you said, they introduce themselves. You're just like the facilitator. You just show up and make it real. That's all.
So it starts with the character, but then as the cast and crew start showing up,
Mhm,
the story begins to flesh itself out. So I picture the story almost as in scenes. Every chapter is a different scene. Sometimes
mhm,
there's multiple scenes. But as I keep writing, I have to be about 100 pages in before I have a really firm grasp as to what is really going in the story. And then I can go back and outline and
mhm.
edit, cut and paste and do those things. But yeah, usually about 100 pages in, that's when I start
That's
feeling
pretty
really.
that's pretty darn good, 100 pages. Listen, by the time I got to 100 pages, I had a headache. I'm like, "Why am I telling these people all my business like this? What
Mhm,
is wrong with you?" And I'm just questioning, and God just laughing at me.
mhm,
I told you this wasn't your plan. So
mhm.
because you have it's important, and because you have a strong support system, how do you find that balance? That's what they're saying now. Find the balance, live your best life. You have to, take care of yourself. I've always taken care of myself. I tell them all the time, if mother ain't happy, ain't nobody gonna be happy up
You
in
know,
here.
I feel like I am still trying to figure out the balance. One thing that I do love to do is travel. So whenever I can
Mm,
travel, that's when I can exhale a little bit. If I'm not on a trip, I'm probably daydreaming of a trip or trying to plan one. So for me, because I work. I work, 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 work. So when I get to unplug and get away, I don't care if it's like to the next state or across the world. Like
Mm,
I sit down, exhale a little bit. That helps kind of balance out.
mhm. You said it kind of helps. Do your characters keep you awake sometimes at night?
Um, this book not sometimes they do. Sometimes I'm like, what were they really thinking of, when they did this? Or
Mhm.
did I really write that scene right? So, they do have a way of getting in your head, trying to make themselves known. But I love it. It's
How are you able to separate Leslie from your characters? Because you have to be able to, get
Mhm.
that, have that space.
Yes. I think it's important to try and figure out what their voice is.
Mhm.
One thing about me, I notice I tend to write in the first person a lot of times.
Mhm.
So it's like you're really getting inside of someone's head, a make pretend person, right?
Mhm.
But then as I go back and read, I start realizing, that's something that I would do. That
Okay.
maybe I need to fix that. That's not true to that character.
But
So,
and that's okay, I think. I think people find you more authentic when they know that there's a piece of you and not just I'm just gonna write this book and I'm just gonna go to the bookstores and I'm gonna autograph books and I'm gonna do my book tour thing.
mhm,
When you're in it and you get out there and you're making a presentation,
mhm,
how much of Leslie do you have to separate from to stay with the story? Because like you want to say, I do write in first person, and I know what that is.
mhm. It does take some work. I think by nature, believe it or not, I'm probably a little bit more of an introvert. I am happy to just kind of be at home, hanging out with my family, doing little family game night, and
Mhm.
so putting myself out there with these books, that this is completely trying to come out of my comfort zone. But I recognize as a writer, that's kind of what you're doing. You're putting yourself out there through your characters, through that whole process. So
Mhm.
it can be scary. I'm not gonna lie, this is scary.
And this is these you have to remember these are the characters you created. And you
Right.
see, when you start talking, that's why I'm writing first person. No, I'm because I do. That's the only thing I know to do. I got because that's why they can't blackmail black people. Because
Mm,
we'll tell the story ourselves. And we can tell the story better than you can. I
mm,
remember when I first came out here, it was like, so Mother Love, how come we've never seen your husband? I said, because my husband ain't none of your business.
mm. No,
And
that's
they were like, "Well, you don't need to be that man." When you talking about getting up in my Kool-Aid, oh no, there is no line about me being cool. My kids are off limits.
mm,
This is what I wanted. Well, no, this is not what I wanted to do. This is
mhm,
what God said. Go and do. And I know you have a personal relationship with the Lord, and you hear when He hears you, and He knows what it is that you need. Now, do
mhm.
you empty out when you get finished with a book? I mean, empty out these. Okay, whew, I got Housebroken done.
Yes.
Okay, whew, I can breathe. Okay, now what's my next feat? Or do
Right.
you actually stop and breathe?
I don't think I do a very good job at breathing sometimes. I will tell you, every single book that I've written, this is my eighth one. Every single one, there has been a significant challenge that coincides while I write it. And so I don't know if writing is the release or the lesson, or I learn from my characters as
Mhm,
well. Sometimes I'll write a scene and then go back and really chew on what was just happening.
mhm.
So when I get to the end of the story, it is a relief. I'm happy that it's done, but I'm already starting to think about what's next.
See, I knew it.
How did
You
you know?
probably the only time you are still is when you sleep.
Yeah,
And
that
then
that
sometimes, like I can be up to 2 o'clock in the morning, and then that means I have to get up earlier. And you gotta have you have to have your rest, keep
I'm
your
working.
brain fresh. You got to be, and people don't understand this. When you're writing, you have a myriad of emotions going on. You could be angry, you could be there therapeutically, and
Mhm,
obviously, I think writing for you is therapeutic. It's your way of cleansing. It's your way of staying connected without having to get beat up all the time. You know
mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah, one thing that's important to me as a writer is giving a message of hope. I feel like
Mhm.
there's so much darkness, there's so much heaviness in the world right now that I want to be a tool, a vessel of hope, of light. Um,
Mhm.
like this story, it is not this deep, dark story. It's meant to be fun, it's meant to be refreshing, it's meant to
Mhm.
give little nuggets of maybe some life lessons related to marriage. But really, that is my goal as a writer, is to bring the most glory to God as possible,
Mhm.
um, to give people a sense of hope and maybe put a little smile on their face too.
Well, I got that. Trust me, I had a bunch of smiles on my face. And one of the characters in your book, Mrs. Wayland,
Mm.
ah, you talk about bougie.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a piece of work. How
Yes.
did you develop? How did you come across her and have her be like that, but still kept her looking and feeling human?
One
'Cause
thing
I
I
wanted to strangle her. I threw it through one of them holes in the wall of that house.
well, Miss Whalen has some secrets of her own. Hmm.
Thou dost protest too much.
Yes,
And I
she
was like, oh, I know you up to something, Missy. And
she
I know your vision of her is probably different from my vision of her because I can see them full blown.
okay.
I can see them full blown. And when they do, and how did you not make Evan a mama's boy? Because he is not a mama's boy.
You don't think so? I you,
He kind of spoiled. Okay, never
yeah,
mind.
he's
That's
a
our
little
only
spoiled.
son, and we get crazy with our only son. But I mean, she was quite overbearing.
Yeah, she
She is
she had.
quite over, and she wanted to, and she will let you know she doesn't bite her tongue. And
Mhm.
you just don't seem like that kind of person. Where did that cut? And that came out of your pretty head. Were you able to develop her like that and still make her human and still make her motherly?
So
Because
you.
she's been one of them kind of, I can't wait till I'm grown. I'm getting up out here with this crazy chick. She want to dictate everything. Want to dictate the wedding, where we gonna live.
Hmm. Well, she again. You have to let the character speak to you. You have to let
Mhm,
them be true to who they are. One thing
mhm,
I learned as a writer, though, is that every character, whether they are the villain, the hero, to make them human, they have good and bad to them.
mhm.
Right? So maybe they get on your nerves, but they know how to plant a pretty rose garden. So it's like that's how you humanize people. Is finding what parts of them can people still relate to.
Mhm,
Yes, she is overbearing, but maybe why? I'm actually intrigued enough by her that I'm consider excuse me, considering having her own story to
mhm.
kind of shape, how she got to be who she is.
So is
With
that another book coming about me? And do you write characters that you've already introduced in your other books? Do they interchange or they are what this is a whole different entity with Housebroken?
So Housebroken is its own story. I am
Mhm.
playing around with the idea of Miss Whalen's story and also Nika's story, her best friend.
Oh, cause
Yeah, I'm
she was
playing
what we
around
called
with
in
the
college.
idea
She
of it.
one of them loose women. She one of them, cause she didn't have a problem with it, you
Well,
know.
she
And
was
in this
also a
day and
good
age,
friend.
when we got a woman who's getting married and she's still a virgin, I was like, wait a minute, let me go back. Did she say she was 23? Which is good. It was refreshing. That gave me hope,
Mm.
for younger people to understand this is a work in progress. And when you got the one, you got the one. They
Well,
might not know that
well,
they are the one, but
you know,
you now how did you and your husband meet?
oh, we met actually technically in college, but
Mm.
really it was the summer after our first year of college. We both ended up as camp counselors at the YMCA, Jewett in West Baltimore. And we've been together since we were 19. We
See,
just celebrated 25 years. But yeah, we started out as camp counselors working at the Y.
listen, you understand, and that is a very responsible position. People think camp counselors are no big deal. You just playing with a bunch of kids. You got I don't know how many kids were in the camp. Now, was this overnight camp or day camp?
Oh no, this was day camp. Day,
Okay.
West Baltimore, Jewett Hill.
Mhm.
Um, yep, it was day camp, and I had the kindergartners. I forget which grade he had.
Mhm.
That was some serious work. Serious work.
And
Long
people don't. And I
days.
was a camp counselor for, they gonna pay me for this because I was out there having fun,
Oh,
being wild and undisciplined, and the kid, not only my kids in my cabin, but other kids in the other cabin. I said, y'all can't just sleep in the cabin. It's only made for eight. Well, we'll sleep with Sally. Well, we'll sleep with Susie. I'm like, no, y'all go back to your cabin.
mm.
And everybody and it was so cool. And you really don't know what kind of impact you've had on these kids at day camp. So has any of your former campers ever came up to you and said, "Hey, Miss, did y'all have to use? Were you able to use your name, or did you have to have a camp name?"
I just went by Miss Leslie.
Okay, that's good. Put a handle on it. These kids, they ain't
That's
got.
what they called us.
That's
But
it.
that was probably about 30 years, almost 30 years ago. But there were a couple of campers that we would run into. You haven't seen any in a while, but
Mhm.
there was one that we would see from time to time, and we watched him grow up and get married and have a child, and it makes me feel old listening to myself say
No,
that.
no,
But
no. We're
go
not
ahead.
old. We're seasoned.
Seasoned,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm a seasoned citizen, and then our grandchildren let us know that we were old, but we weren't old old.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what that meant. I said,
Okay.
"What does that mean?" And they go, "Old old is where their voice get creaky and they walk real slow and they bent over." And I said, "So we're not that." They said, "Oh no, you and Papa, y'all just old. You guys get up and travel. Y'all have people over all the time. We can come
Mm,
over anytime we want to. You got being with you is like an adventure." And
no.
so that I was like, "Oh, so I'm just old." That's why I prefer being a seasoned citizen. Back it up. You better hope you get halfway here. And especially in this day and age with so much animosity or so much mayhem, you truly are there. You really are. And to just be able to surround yourself into your characters, and you brought up Mrs. Whalen and Nika. I actually wanted to know more about them. Even though I don't particularly care for her in the beginning, they kind of wear on you. And that's what you
Oh,
want. That's what
okay.
you want. You want
Yeah.
people to have a human connection with those pages. Now, what you like printed books or you like ebooks?
I still kind of like the feel of a book in my hand. Now, I will read ebooks. I do have them, but I do like the feel of just kind of nestling with the book
And I like to do
in the
this when I get a
chair.
new book and just smell the middle. If I could smell all the way to the spine, and then I know this is going to be something really good. And how do how do how do you come up with such distinction between your characters?
Again, you just have to listen to their voices. You have to think about what their stories are. Um, Even though we just see the little snippet of their lives in the books,
Mhm.
I imagine their life before the book. Who were they? What did their childhood look like? What are their goals? What are their motivations? When you start kind of fleshing out a character that way, it becomes a lot easier to introduce them into the story and see, what are they going to do in this situation? I love
See,
it.
I think that's really cool because you have a great attention span that you're able to sit down and because see to me writing a book like this probably ain't gonna happen. I
Well,
wouldn't be able to remember. So that's why I write the self-help books and the books on forgiving because it's so important. When you see the madness that's going on,
mhm,
are you compelled to? Because you said you were a community activist. When do you know it's time for you to step in? And whatever the situation was, when did you know it was time for you to step into, and teaching these little kids at camp,
mhm,
raising your own kids, and that's a lot of work,
mhm.
because you got four different personalities in your house, including you. You five, and you got to deal with all these different personalities.
Yes, it is definitely a balancing act. And again, I work as a therapist. Um,
Thank
I,
God. I just want to say thank you because we need more therapists in the community like you that can understand, even just from an ethnic point of view. I had a white, not psychologist, the psychologist. Oh yes, I've been in therapy. I've been in therapy since I was 14 years old. Get a grip. And why do you think our people are so steadfast and negative about therapy? When if anybody needs therapy, it's black people and black women.
I am a firm believer that sometimes you have to have someone
I
outside
can't
of
hear
your
you.
circle.
I can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'm a firm believer that sometimes you have to have someone outside of your circle where you can sit down, unpack, exhale, and pick up some coping strategies. People have been through so much trauma. There's so much depression and anxiety. I love being in the role of being able to listen. Sometimes that's the biggest thing. It's just people want to be heard. So for me, having that space where I can work with an individual and let them really tell their story and kind of dig deep and help them heal. I feel like that's such a powerful place that I feel honored to sit with people to do that. And I think especially in our community, especially with our women, people are carrying so much. So I am a big advocate, obviously, for therapy. It doesn't mean that you are crazy. It means that you are committed to being the best person that you can be.
And
So,
being well.
yeah,
People forget about their mental health.
right.
They'll take care of the physical stuff, and then you trying to figure out why would they take a bunch of pills that take themselves out. And I had to tell, death is not an option, sweetie.
Mm,
Just like you had nothing to do with hitting the planet. You live right. You won't have anything to do with unless you do it yourself. And
mhm,
we won't, and we don't want to talk to anybody about
right.
our problems. This the one to get me. Everybody want God to do all the work. God say you help. I'll help those who help themselves.
Mm,
The Lord figured out. He knows my heart. Okay, now how you gonna present yourself to other people that way you let them know that you have God in your life. And sometimes, you know, them two might not mesh too
mhm,
well together. Some people don't want to listen, and
yeah,
we know that they want to be heard. That's
yeah.
really what I never would have thought about. It. We've lived in 2 centuries.
That is true.
In
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
century. How about that part? And
right.
just seeing so much destruction. I thought by the time we got to the 21st century, I'm still waiting for my Jetson car to unfold. I'm a briefcase, so what am I talking about? And it seems like it's getting worse. And the only thing that I think each of us can do individually is don't be afraid. Be willing to stand in the gap. Be willing to go through the gauntlet because you're needed.
Mhm,
What you do, your services are needed.
yeah.
And I would rather somebody say, oh, I'm not going to be talking to Miss Leslie. She's just going to be telling me, let me sit there and do all the talking. Okay, that's what a therapist does. They sit and they listen. And oftentimes you might not have to ask any questions because they'll tell you, you know.
Mhm,
So you talked about one of your success stories, the young man that you watched him grow up from time to time. He watched him from time to time. As he was growing up, and
mhm,
got to have a sense of that he knew what you guys did for him, and for him to be willing to share that with you, that says a lot about you and your husband, and the fact that you stick together as a team.
yes.
Sometimes listen, we had them days. We
Mhm,
had them days. I'm like, dude, really,
yeah.
really. And let me tell you, the older they get, the crazier you go from being your boyfriend, your
Mm,
lover, your husband. Okay, I messed that up, but you know what I mean. And then they go from being this, your boy, the guy you just love to pieces. Oh, he is so fine. I'm just so glad that I have him, which I truly am. But then when you get to, they just now he's at the father stage. He think
okay.
he's my daddy. I'm
No.
like, get you a hobby because I'm not your hobby. You need to. And we laugh all the time, all the time. And he'll say, "That's not fun." Yes, it is. And when I can make him laugh, I know
Yeah.
I can make a whole audience laugh because everybody used to tell him when he wouldn't come and see me do stand up.
Mm,
He said, "I live with her. I know they he would send his fraternity brothers to come and see me, and they
no.
come back. We thought she was funny in the house. She funny on the stage. Man, you got to go and see her." He was like, "I see her right there." I'm like,
No.
I'm not always on. But people expect that when you walk outside the door. When I come home, the wig come off, the makeup come off, and that's enough. And if I never, ever, ever, ever had to wear a bra again, I would. Because I done became the mother and
Mm,
not that mother. Uh, so what do your kids and I know your husband, what do your kids think about they have a famous writer mom?
I don't know about the famous part, but
Oh, you gonna be famous now? Put on your resume, guest on the Mother Love show. And,
you
people say, well, how you know Mother Love? See, and you wouldn't say, but tell them I said, get you some business.
okay, I will keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But to say a lot of what I do is because of my kids. Um,
Uh-huh.
you know, I started writing my very first novel. Um, you know, I had been writing all my life, but when I
Mhm.
sat down to start my first novel, my oldest daughter was 3 months old. Uh, 3 months old, and I just for me to pursue the writing dream is as much as part of being a mother as it is a writer because I
Mhm.
want to model for my children the importance of following what you believe God has called you to do.
Mhm.
And I think that's not just something that I say, that I want to show them. I love being a mom. It has been truly one of the best privileges and blessings of my life because I can remember a time where I didn't know if I was going to be able to be one.
A
Something.
mom?
Yeah, I had a couple miscarriages. We don't talk about that, and I don't think people realize how common that is.
How
But I
traumatic it
remember
is.
thinking,
And
"Is this
this is
going
what
to
it get me,
help?"
Leslie. Oh, you'll get over it.
Mm-mm. No, someone put it best. A friend of mine at the time said, "You're grieving a family member you didn't meet," and that just struck me
Oh, wait a
because
minute, girl, I got goosebumps. How could
yeah,
somebody see that just goes to show you how people can really be cruel, and oftentimes I bet you whoever that friend used to be friend said that. Did they
well,
ever apologize to you
but
for that?
they were trying to say it in a way of encouragement to acknowledge the grief as a
Mhm.
way of saying that your grief is legitimate, that it is a family member. You didn't get to meet them, but they were still a family member. But I say all that to say for me, um, having being able to be a mom has been like one of the biggest, greatest things. So when I write my stories, when I'm out here trying to publish, when I'm out here trying to push myself past
Oh, wait, hold up.
discouragement,
Wait, hold up. You didn't get the memo. We don't do the word tryna. We
yeah,
do the doggone thing.
yes,
We're not trying to do
so
anything.
that's what I tell my clients too. I
See?
do say that. I do
You'll
say
tell them, but you
it's
won't
not
even
even
take your own
trying,
advice,
you're
but
doing it. You are doing it.
and you know that you're giving them good advice. What's
Yeah.
the worst advice you ever gave to them?
Oh my.
Wait, can you bring your eyeballs back down?
Whew. Well,
It went past your eyebrows.
one thing, as a therapist, I try not to be in a place where I'm giving them advice. I try to be in a place where I'm helping them recognize they can be confident in the wisdom that they have been learning through their own lives to pull
Mhm,
out. So
mhm,
sometimes it's helping them to fine tune what they already know and have
mhm.
maybe been afraid to believe about themselves. Yes, there might be some teaching, some education parts of it, but I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I'm here to
See,
help.
that's my job. I'll tell them in a minute. Oh, no, 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 no. And I am here to give advice and guidance. And you going off in a stupid direction, and you need to turn your slap happy behind around and get a grip. Come on, let's go do the mirror exercise. The mirror exercise, especially when you're talking to people who don't feel comfortable in their own skin, who
Yeah,
don't see the beauty in themselves. And beauty comes from within. You could be ever so out here beautiful, but if your soul is ugly, if your
right.
heart is dark, you gotta, that's the time for reassessment. And then most people go, I don't want to do that. That's just gonna take too long. Oh, really? Did you really think this was like gonna be you thought this was gonna be a marriage? What did you think? And then they look at you and they give you the look like, oh, she might be right. I'm sure as a therapist, you get that look, oh, she might be right.
We do a lot of work, sometimes just focusing on affirmations, affirming.
Mhm.
I think, in terms of not so much telling people what to do, but helping them come to those realizations. And you can
That
see
they
the
can do it.
aha moment, right? When they realize who they are, whose they are, what their purpose is, that it is possible to be healed, that it is possible to move forward and not just look back. I love those moments when when you can see it on someone, where it's not
Mhm.
even just something that I've said to them, but they realize it themselves. That's where I think you just begin to see so much healing come into place.
And we really need that, especially now. This has done got bad crap crazy. And now, do you have your space where you go and write? That where you can have stay focused on what you're doing, or
Honestly,
can you write with chaos around you
I tend my best writing time is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because it's quiet.
and everybody sleep?
Everybody's asleep. I can sit on the sofa, I can crawl somewhere, or maybe the corner of my bed, and I can just think. It's like, and plus, the day is over. You're not worried about trying to fix dinner or sign this or do that, or you know what I mean. It's
Mhm.
like that is when I can just sit and think. It was a little bit easier when I was younger because now I'm tired.
And nap time sounds beautiful now, doesn't it?
Yeah, so
Just let me
that is
take
a
all I
little.
need is, some power minutes. Let me just lay down for like 20 minutes. I have a
Mhm.
timer, one of them old-fashioned timers, and it has a really annoying ding. And I
Oh,
put it far away from me where I can't turn it off.
yes,
Where I have to get up to
yeah,
turn it off. And I'm like, okay, now I'm good. See,
yes.
and are you the kind of person that lets her feelings be shown, that you wear your feelings on your sleeve, or you keep yourself very guarded?
I feel like I'm probably guarded, but I don't always have the best facial control. I know that about myself.
See, you and I could not go to Vegas and gamble.
No, that wouldn't work.
Mm.
That wouldn't work. Yeah, there's a game we play sometimes as a family. It's called Chameleon, where you have to pretend that you know what's going on. Whenever it's my turn, I don't do well. I'm not good at keeping the facial expressions right.
Oh, so it's like charades?
It's kind of complicated, but in the end, you're trying to act like you're blending in with everyone else knows what the topic is.
Oh,
Don't, but you have to pretend that you know. I'm not good at it.
you're not. It's,
Yeah, I know I learned a long time ago I do not have good facial
no,
control.
you don't.
I'm just not good as a therapist.
And
I've
then people
gotten
that
better.
know you will go, okay, Leslie, give her the look. You got the look. You go, I don't have the. You have the look. I
Yeah.
was at an event. And I was talking to the people that had put the event on, and they asked me what was my opinion, and I gave them my opinion. I give constructive, criticism, and they asked me, I'm going to tell you. And so he was asking me about one of the people that was there, and when they did their presentation, and so he says, "So what did you think of the presentation?" I went, "I don't even know what the look was." And he looked at me. He said, "Oh, never mind, my love." I said, "What do you mean?" I was going, and he said, "You done gave me the look." I said,
Mm,
"I didn't do anything." And two people turned around and go, "Yes, you did." So
yeah.
I said, don't ask me.
Yeah.
Don't. And you know what? Do you like surprises?
Uh, if it's a good surprise, but
See,
I feel like
see.
it's hard to surprise me. I can only think about maybe once or twice in my life where I have legitimately been surprised. Yeah.
Okay, spill the tea. Spill the tea.
One was I don't know if I should say by one of my baby showers, I had a feeling that was what was happening. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I haven't been there has not been too much. Now I feel like I'm saying this and now people will try, but yeah, it's hard. I feel like I haven't really been too surprised. So,
I don't like surprises.
you don't
You
like
want it to be a surprise for everybody else? Tell me, and I'll go. Oh my goodness! And they were like, "You knew, didn't you?" I'm like,
Mm,
"Don't be trying to fool." My husband is good at that,
okay.
and at 52 years, and
Mhm,
he still thinks he's good at that.
okay.
He is. But I told, don't surprise me. Listen, I'm a seasoned citizen. I'd be had a heart attack if I didn't know what was going on. I need to know what's going on because you could drop anytime. I told him, I'm gonna down this. I'm gonna down the keyboard.
No.
Hello, it's Mother Love. Bam. But you're gonna know I had a good time. He said you like traveling. Where's your favorite place that you've been? That you would
Oh,
go back again.
let's see. Last year we did a trip to Morocco in Lisbon. In
Okay, wait a
Morocco.
minute. You said travel.
Yes.
And you said, I can go across the street or to the next town. You didn't say nothing about world travel. You got to have your international passport. You've been
Yes,
Morocco to
I
Morocco. And if I didn't love you, I would be like this much jealous. That's one of the people. And you said you've been to Lisbon?
yes, we went to Lisbon. We've been to a few places. I that's just like I said, I will plan a trip. But see, for me, I like the challenge of planning a trip on a budget. So like I will find a way to make it work. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
totally.
I
Listen,
will
we
find
like pay less shoe stores.
yes.
We could pay more, but why?
Right. So to me, I like the challenge. If there's some place that we want to go in the world,
Mhm.
I will do some research. I will find, a place that's nice to stay in. I will look up their transportation system, take the train, travel, we'll
See,
find a way.
those are some really good travel tips. And a lot of people to this day have no idea how to pack a suitcase.
Mm. Oh, let me tell you,
Oh,
we
she
did a
gets lit up.
10
Oh, let
day
me tell you about this. Okay.
we did a 10-day trip to Europe and I just had a no, actually Morocco. I just bought a backpack and a purse when we went to Lisbon and Morocco because that was a trip all together.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm pretty good at being able to just have a carry on, even
Okay.
for a 10-day trip. So
10
it's a
days in a
start.
backpack.
A, a,
10
a
days.
a backpack
Listen,
and a
I've
purse. Don't
learned
forget
how
the
to I've
purse.
learned how to better pack and be a better traveler.
Hmm.
Because when we were growing up, we went to camp and that was enough vacation for me.
Hmm.
And our mother would say, it's not a vacation for you. It's a vacation for me because she would send us out. It was six of us. She would
Oh,
send us out like all four of the girls. We would be in a different camp. Two brothers, they'd be in the camp. And she was like, oh, peace be still. And
Mhm.
I didn't understand that. I do understand that now. And that's why it's so important to have that you time. It's so important to take care of Leslie.
Mhm.
Sometimes you might not need your husband there. You might just need to get, just do Leslie. Because when you married and you got kids, they doing you. I told you kids and you said your youngest son is 11?
Well, I have my youngest daughter is 16.
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh, that's a daughter. So you got a daughter, son, daughter?
yes,
Oh,
16-year-old, 21-year-old son, 23-year-old daughter, all of whom I'm so proud of. Like
oh
they truly
you
smile.
I could see
Raise-
that.
well, I do. I love my babies. They always be my babies. I don't care how old they are. And they know that. So
Right.
they've
Our
accepted.
son, and I'm like, where did the time go?
Yes.
I'm
Mhm.
like, this year just seemed like we walked out the front door, walked around
Right.
the block, and came in the side door, and it's 2024.
Right.
Okay.
This year
And
has
we got crazy town. Uh,
mhm.
what kind of advice do you give, especially to your younger daughter, with all the chaos that's going on? And we have to tell our daughters things, and the men got to tell our sons things because for as great a mommy as
Mhm.
we are, and we are.
Mhm.
We could be on the front page of the mommy book. I could not teach our son how to be a man and
Mhm.
not how to be a black. I mean, how to be a man and how to be a black man and be successful in this racist country where we are. And I just call it like what it is. And the only reason why they still being racist because they see us coming.
Mhm.
I told y'all to be quiet. Okay, but now they see you and they can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Mhm.
They can't, so it's you know who's gonna save the world, don't you? It's gonna be us. It's gonna be the women. It's gonna
Well,
be the see. I think
one
that's what they're scared of.
some lessons that I really try and teach my daughters, number one is to really love and see the beauty of themselves. I
Mhm.
think as a woman, as a black woman, you have to fully embrace and know and be confident in who you are and whose you are. Because if you have that down, if you know who you are and you have accepted yourself, it is going to be very difficult for the world to tear you down. So that is one of, yes, obviously, you want their faith and their ability to believe and to hope to be there. But I feel like that's all one and the same is that
Mhm.
you have to know who you are and love yourself. Even that commandment that says love your neighbor as you love yourself is
Mhm.
assuming that you love yourself. So
Exactly. And you won't feel intimidated by anybody else.
mhm,
You can see that. And people used to tell me, I don't know how her fat behind got a husband. Who she thinks she is. She make everybody laugh. All the fellas just getting up and standing up for her when she come in. She ain't royalty. And I was like, you really don't know who I am and whose I am. So
right.
when you get that together,
Yeah,
then you won't even have any room to criticize me or anybody else.
yes.
Because God, and you can always know when you God's child. I always know when I'm around God fearing people. And that's the only I'm telling you, too. I'm scared of God and I'm scared of my mama. God is alive and well. My mama left the planet a long time ago, and I'm still scared of this woman
Oh,
because she pulled no punches. She
okay.
let you know straight up. And when she started talking real slow like this,
Yeah.
you know it's getting ready to be a problem. Did you give your kids the eye and they had to talk to them? You know how they could do.
I think that's the universal thing.
And
Yeah,
they
that's
can
the
make you
universal.
feel like it's a hole in your neck.
Hmm.
And you just and then you start shaking. I used to hate when my mother said, "Oh, wait till your daddy get home, helpful." I'm like, "Wow, I gotta wait for him because he ain't gonna be mad at you. Because if I hit you, I'm gonna kill you." And
Oh no,
so my daddy walking the door, she would go whoop her behind. And he don't know what he whooping me for. He just grabbed me up by the leg, whack, 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 put
no.
me down. I'm crying. He said, "Now what did she do?" And
Oh.
and they would be in tandem, kept us in order, kept us straight. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially now with so many outside forces and so much white noise around them. And this computer, just really went crazy. That's why I asked you earlier: do you longhand or type with a type, or do you do it on the computer?
So actually, it's easier for me to type out the stories. I don't know what it is about when I try for journaling. I will do longhand. Like
Uh huh.
if I just need to pour out personal reflections, thoughts. There's not. I have so many notebooks here. I probably could start a store with all the notebooks I have here.
See,
Um,
people
I'm.
thought it was me. This is what I have. I had a little scratch pad about this big, and I
Mhm.
had to write they right here on my desk. They're in my bedroom next to.
Yeah.
My son asked me one day, he said, "Mom," he says, mother, why do you have a notepad and ink pen in the bathroom? I
Mhm.
said, because this is where I get my greatest work from. I know and I don't know if you heard this, because I do my best work in the bathroom.
Okay.
They said some expert claims and said you should not sit on the toilet longer than 10 minutes.
I've never heard that.
I heard that the other day, and I'm like, well, that's just stupid. Why
Did
would
they
you?
say why?
I'm like, what, 10 minutes? Shoot,
No.
I ain't even finished, doing my business in 10 minutes. Are you kidding me? And I said, some of the stuff they give us is just insane. Now,
Mm.
are you a hoarder? Semi-hoarder?
I probably hold on to things a little bit longer than I need to. I'm trying to let it go. I'm trying to get better.
Okay, I got advice for you because I'm like that. I was like that. Well, no, I'm still like that. Uh, if you haven't used it,
Mhm.
seen it, wore it, you don't need it.
Yeah,
And then I
that's
found out I didn't need a whole closet full of clothes. And I went,
that's
I'm not giving up these clothes. And my husband said, you can't wear none of them clothes anymore. I lost 111 pounds. I'm like, I'm keeping my big girl clothes. He was like, look,
mm.
I had on one of the shirts the other day and it literally fell off of me. He was like, okay, that's going in the bin. Just forget it. I told you he need a hobby. I'm not. So now, have you traveled with your children? Do they go? And
Yeah,
uh
we'll try and I actually like I do like traveling with them. When we do our trips, if we can take them with us, we will. Um,
mhm.
they're like young adults and teens. And my husband and I do have a trip next year, Lord willing, where it would be just us and like some friends or whatever. We're supposed to go to Thailand. That's the big trip for next year.
That's a big trip.
That's the big trip. So
What?
looking forward.
So, and I like the fact that you said do the research.
Mhm,
I see,
yeah,
I would have never thought about that.
I
Do the
will.
research. Somebody else was doing it for me, so I'm like, okay, as long as I get there, get on the plane, I'm safe. Get off the plane, I'm safe. Everybody's good. And so, and people don't tell you these little things about packing. I am just fascinated that you could, as a woman, you
Yes.
could pack. Well, how long did y'all stay in Morocco? You had a backpack in your purse?
Yeah, so basically what I do, I think of a color theme, right? So think of a theme, think of a style, and then you have a lot of pieces that you can mix and match together. Get your accessories. I'm very particular about my feet hurt a lot, so I will get a good pair of shoes,
Mhm.
pair of sandals. You know what I mean? Like I'll figure that out. But if I have a theme in mind, then all my shopping for that trip goes around that theme, and it just makes it a lot easier. And
It really does.
packing need some packing.
It really does. And I learned this the hard way. And this was before they were weighing our suitcases to find out, and you couldn't go over a certain weight and what have you. And I was like, I'll take 10 pairs of shoes with me. I'm a shoe fanatic. I'll
Okay.
take 10 pairs of shoes, but I've learned not to do that. You,
Mhm.
you need black shoes, you need a flat, you need a pump, and maybe you need a sling bag. That's
Right.
it. And you wear your tennis shoes or whatever you're
Mhm.
wearing. And you talk about a color. See, I'm doing some stuff right. Color.
Yes, pick
My color
colors,
for
wear
travel
your
is red,
heaviest
black, and
clothes
white.
to the airport, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? The thing, if you're gonna bring jeans, wear those because those are heavier in the bag. So yeah, I have a bunch of little strategies. I've
see?
actually thought about trying to do like a little travel blog. I'm thinking about that because I love planning trips. My friends know that. Like if we ever talk about having a girls trip, I will have like a little mini PowerPoint
Mhm.
with option A, B, and C. This is where we could stay. These are the activities. Like, yeah, I'm that person.
Oh,
But I
my.
love it.
You're a great traveling companion.
I love
Field trip.
it.
And I love to travel. I
Yes.
used to be terrified of flying, and my
I'm
husband
still
had said
terrified
to
of
me,
flying.
"As long as I am with you, you're not gonna die in a plane crash." I said, "But what if we get mangled up?" "It's not gonna happen. Never be." And he would say, being in a car is more dangerous than being on an aircraft." And I was like, "Why do you say that?" He said, "You don't hear about airplanes crashing 2 and 3 times a day, and
Yeah.
they take off in thousands of planes." I'm
Yeah.
just fascinated with that, but now I like to travel, and I don't wanna go to the country or the city like a traveler. I'll get there a day ahead of time just so I could get the feel for
Yeah.
it. And so you're adding another little nugget for me. Get all the weather reports. How long did it take you to get to Morocco?
Well, so we flew to Lisbon, and then from Lisbon, it was like maybe an hour or so flight from there. So like that was another little trick, is because it's kind of like if you find the airlines that travel over there,
Mhm.
did a round trip there, and it was cheaper to just fly to Lisbon. I mean, to Morocco and back to Lisbon. So yeah, that worked out for us. But yeah, that
So
I
do well, most countries acknowledge the American dollar, and it
mhm,
just seems like we went to Africa once, and our guide said you only need to bring about $200 to convert.
mhm,
And so we get there, and they gave us a stack of money. Like I was like, "Is this real much?" She said, "This is what the currency is here in
mhm.
this country." And I was like, "But what happened?" And they only want American dollars for you. They want you to tip them in American dollars.
Mhm.
And we had a stack like this, and they
Okay.
were like, "Oh, give us the, you don't need those. You don't need those. Give them back to us." And then they go do it again to the next plane coming down. They had a racket going
Oh,
on,
wow.
and you
Okay.
have to be mindful of that too.
Yeah.
That be careful, because you don't know these people. Some of them could be very, very violent.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the guys on our trip. He had his baby in his arm. His wife, he and his wife were holding hands, and somebody walked up to him and cut his fanny pack off of him. He
Okay.
spent the whole trip trying to get his passport.
Yeah, that's
It
scary.
was awful. Where else have you been? You've been in Morocco, you've been in Lisbon,
So
listen, we going to Thailand.
we took when we did our Europe trip, we took overnight train from Germany to Italy. And when you talk about the passport, I had done my research and I had read that you had to keep your passport on you because it was an overnight train. They said,
Mhm.
because someone might try and take it. And in the middle of the night, I heard this knock at the door. And then I saw this hand come in. Yeah, I was like, "Wait a minute, what is happening?" So again, I do my research, as
Mhm.
much as possible, to find out, safety tips and what you need to do and where do you change your currency. Like the airport is going to be the most expensive place. Yeah, yes,
Oh, they are expensive. When you go into the neighborhood, you can get a bottle of water for $1, get it at the airport.
yeah. So yeah, we've
$5.
been to different places. One year we went to Costa Rica. That was nice.
Oh,
That was
you're
nice.
naming all the places I want to go. The pandemic just jacked everybody up,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Well, you're old enough to remember when first President Bush said, after the guy found his I don't know what he did, and he said it's not gonna change. Our lifestyle is not gonna change. I never would have thought. I would
Mhm,
have almost had to strip to get through the airport security. Don't
mhm,
wear, one of the things I learned: don't wear a lot of jewelry through the airport.
yeah.
You know, and
Mhm.
there and people think it's really, really expensive when you say Morocco. If you
No,
don't
that's
know where it is,
the thing.
maybe you
I
don't need to.
I will find a way to we will make it happen on a budget. Like that to me is the challenge, is finding a place that is affordable, finding deals on flights. Because trust me, we're not out here rolling like that,
Okay.
truly,
And
at
people think
all.
you are. People think you
No,
are. And
not at all.
I
Not at
have
all.
I
So
have this thing. I told you I didn't like flying. And I said, and they always put me up, I was always in first class.
mhm,
And so because I have to get on the plane, sit down. That's what I got to get on the plane and sit down. And that's it. I don't want to look at people, from the back because they don't tell them what's gonna happen. So I have to be one time, and I used to have to take a happy pill.
mm,
I'm trying to think what the name of it was. But anyway, I had to take it 20 minutes before I got on the plane because I would be just, and they told me, and my psychologist told me the same thing. You know why you're nervous, mother love? And I said, no, I'm nervous. She goes, because you don't have control.
mhm, yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to recognize. And I will tell you, as much as I travel, I'm still terrified of flying. I have to calm myself down. I have to do my deep breaths. I put on the Calm app, listen to the sound of rain to keep
Mhm.
myself calm. I have to do that. But yes, I have not let that fear stop me. And
No.
like I said, when I tell you we will find a deal, if we have to fly economy saver,
Mhm.
maybe that's why I only have carry-ons. I just give me a ticket on the plane. I will sit in the back.
See, and I'm so specific. I want to sit in first class, and if I got to sit in coach, don't put me by the wing.
Mm,
Do not put me by the wing. And I'm like, I now you and people don't know the safest place on a plane
mhm.
is the seats right next to right behind the toilets.
Oh, really?
Hmm. You see plane crash most of the time. The end of the back of the plane is not as mangled as the front of the plane. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's real comforting. If I go sit in the back, I'm like, no, don't want to do it. But I'm just I'm just surprised a woman could take a backpack, but it's with the theme. It's
Find,
with the theme.
I will find a way. Yeah.
So, because I do that, and my theme is red, black, and white. Take a
Okay.
couple pair of black pants. You take maybe a skirt or two, a black dress. Put your. I put all of my jewelry in my purse because they're not gonna weigh that. And black shoes. I have two. I used to take 10, 12 pair of shoes for a 4-day trip. I know it sounds crazy
No,
because
no.
you never know. I never knew what I was gonna wear. That's why I took all the clothes. But
I
then
get
when one of the people that I worked with before, Peter Greenberg, he's an international. I don't know what his type travel expert. He's a travel expert, and he showed me how to travel, like you said.
Mhm.
See, either we're both crazy or that was a really smart move. And you don't fold your clothes. You
Yeah,
roll them.
roll them. You roll them and put them in packing cubes and stay somewhere with a washing machine.
And
That
with a what?
with a, so that way, like when
Wait a
we
minute.
get
You
out,
said stay someplace with a washing
so like
machine?
we've done like Airbnbs. We
Oh,
stayed
okay.
at a place in Lisbon. It was an Airbnb. They had a washing machine and they had you had to, adapt to the culture. They had this clothesline right outside the window. I didn't. My husband had to figure out how to work it, but he did.
Now,
But like I said, we will
a
find a way.
clothesline?
If there's some way, my lesson in life with travel, if there's somewhere you want to go, do your research. There's a way to make it happen.
And
You
I
might be
like.
economy saver class,
Mhm.
and I'm
Oh,
okay with that.
see,
But
I go on somebody else's dime,
yeah,
which is really
I, I
cool.
I need to grow up and be like you.
Don't grow up then. Do
No,
not. Grown ups suck. Don't grow up. They take life too serious. They
no.
don't see the beauty in it. They don't see the beauty in every day. I'm trying to think of who made the song. Said, "Go with the child's heart," and
Mm,
they don't worry about the day. I mean,
yeah.
what you gonna do about yesterday? No point in keep beating yourself over that. Let me do this. I get to say
Mhm.
myself, mother love. I get to say on December 5th, 2024, I got to meet and chat with the very lovely 90 Leslie seconds. You know what? Ain't nobody ask you nothing, lady. Why am I talking to the intercom system like a crazy person? It has been such a joy. Okay, we got 90 seconds. Where's your favorite place to travel besides Morocco and Lisbon?
A beach. If there's a beach, I am there. And I don't even, I just need to see it. I just need to hear the waves. I don't care if it's on the east, Ocean City or Aruba,
uh,
well, actually,
yes,
I think
60 seconds. I,
beach.
we went to Aruba and I didn't want to leave. I
Yeah,
found out and I read Aruba is where
beautiful.
God goes to vacation.
I could believe that. It is absolutely beautiful there. Yes.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
I told you I didn't want to leave. And they have the prettiest jewelry there. So
Mm.
so now what's going to be your next feat?
I'm still determined to keep writing. That I keep serving, keep writing, keep offering hope and encouragement.
Would
Um,
you ever think about writing an autobiography?
whew, I'd have to think about that. I have thought about some self help books, especially as
Mhm.
a therapist. So that is something. I feel like my story's still being written. So we'll see where it
That'll
goes.
be part 2 of the Leslie Sherrod service. That's what that'll be. It has been my distinct honor and pleasure. Know that you always, as long as I got breath, you have a place to land to
Thank
shamelessly promote your book. And they can get it. Tell them where they can get it at quickly.
Go to my website, lesliejsherrod.com. I have all the links there. Amazon, Barnes and Noble online, Walmart has it online, a bunch of places. But if you go to my website, you'll see all the links. lesliejsherrod.com.
Thank you very much. It has
Thank
been my pleasure.
thank
You
you.
enjoy your Christmas holidays. Give your husband a kiss for us and, other things because, when you get to be seasoned, just the idea make you hurt yourself. And babies, don't forget this. No matter how big or small, short or tall, thick or thin, it matters not what skin you're in. Everybody needs some mother love now and then, huh, Les?